Summer's calling, and shackshop.us has you covered. Dive into hot sales on lady swimsuits, sleek, stylish, and perfect for pool or beach. Stay connected and on trend with smartwatches that track your every move. Explore the depths with underwater drones and reach new heights with our flying drones. Adventure starts here. Hurry, these deals won't last. Shop now at shackshop.us and make this season unforgettable. shackshop.us, where adventure meets style.
Valerie Jarrett's $740K salary draws scrutiny as Obama allies lead $850 million presidential center project. Inside the Obama Foundation's expanding payroll and the leadership circle behind the new Chicago campus. As the long-anticipated Obama Presidential Center approaches completion on Chicago's South Side, new financial disclosures are sparking debate about the compensation of its leadership, particularly the salary of the foundation's chief executive, longtime Obama confidant, Valerie Jarrett. Federal nonprofit filings released this year show that Jarrett received approximately $740,000 in total compensation in 2024, while leading the Obama Foundation, the nonprofit organization responsible for constructing and operating the nearly $850 million presidential campus in Chicago's historic Jackson Park. The documents also reveal that several other senior leaders working for the foundation previously held high-ranking positions in the Obama administration, campaign, or White House staff, with many earning six-figure salaries in executive roles. The combination of substantial compensation, close political ties, and the massive scale of the project has led critics to question whether the foundation's leadership structure reflects standard nonprofit governance practices or something closer to a political inner circle transitioning into the nonprofit world. Supporters of the organization, however, argue that the foundation operates on the scale of a large national institution, requiring experienced leadership comparable to executives at major philanthropic organizations. With construction nearing its final stages and the center scheduled to open soon, the financial disclosures have intensified attention on the Obama Foundation's operations, hiring decisions, and long-term funding plans. The Obama Presidential Center, a massive cultural project. A 19-acre campus designed as a living institution. The Obama Presidential Center is being built on roughly 19.3 acres of public parkland within Jackson Park on Chicago's South Side. Unlike previous presidential libraries operated by the National Archives and Records Administration, the Obama facility will be run entirely by the Obama Foundation, making it a unique hybrid of museum, cultural institution, and civic campus. The project includes several major structures. A museum tower designed to house exhibits documenting Barack Obama's presidency. A public library branch operated by the Chicago Public Library System. An athletic and community facility intended for youth programs. Outdoor gathering spaces, gardens, and plazas for public events. Foundation leaders describe the center as a place designed not just to preserve history, but to promote leadership training, civic engagement programs, and community initiatives both domestically and internationally. Former President Barack Obama himself has emphasized that the center should function as an active civic hub rather than a traditional archival library. "This is not meant to be a monument to the past," Obama said in a recent promotional video for the project. "It's a place where people come together to solve problems, build leadership, and imagine what the future can be." Construction began after years of planning and legal challenges, and the project is expected to open to the public in June, marking one of the largest cultural developments in Chicago in decades. Valerie Jarrett, from White House power broker to nonprofit CEO. One of the Obama's closest advisors. Few individuals have had a longer or closer relationship with the Obamas than Valerie Jarrett. Jarrett served as a senior advisor to President Barack Obama throughout his entire presidency, holding a position that gave her wide-ranging influence across policy discussions, political strategy, and administration management. Her relationship with the Obamas stretches back even further, to the early days of Barack Obama's political career in Chicago. Before joining the White House, Jarrett was a key figure in Chicago's civic and political circles, serving in roles including Deputy Chief of Staff to Chicago Mayor Richard May Daley, Commissioner of Planning and Development for the city, Chairwoman of the Chicago Transit Board,
When Barack Obama entered the White House in 2009, Jarrett became one of his most trusted confidants, frequently described by insiders as part of the president's tightest inner circle. After Obama left office in 2017, Jarrett joined the board of the Obama Foundation and later became its chief executive officer in 2021, succeeding previous leadership as the organization transitioned from planning to large-scale operations. The CEO salary that sparked debate. $740,000 compensation package. The Obama Foundation's latest tax filings show Jarrett receiving approximately $740,000 in compensation in 2024, including salary and benefits. That figure places her among the highest-paid executives leading presidential foundations in the United States. Comparisons with other organizations show. The George W. Bush presidential CEO earned roughly $661,000. The Carter Center reported executive compensation in the mid-$500,000 range. The Reagan Foundation reported similar levels. The Clinton Foundation reported CEO compensation below $500,000. Supporters of the foundation note that Jarrett's salary represents less than 1% of the organization's total expenses, suggesting that executive pay is not a major driver of overall spending. However, critics argue that the high compensation stands out given the foundation's political connections and reliance on charitable donations. Critics raise concerns about political connections, allegations of an insider network. Opponents of the foundation's leadership structure say the concentration of former Obama administration officials in top positions raises questions about hiring practices. Illinois Republican Party Chairman Kathy Salvi criticized the project's leadership and spending, accusing the organization of rewarding political allies. People in Illinois are watching political insiders collect huge salaries while overseeing a project that many locals have criticized for years, Salvi said in a statement. Salvi went further, accusing state political culture of tolerating what she called a revolving door between political power and nonprofit leadership. Such criticism reflects a broader national debate over how nonprofit organizations tied to former presidents should operate and whether they should follow stricter transparency standards.
Salaries across the Obama Foundation. Several former administration officials in top roles. The Obama Foundation's filings show that several of its highest-paid executives previously served in senior government or campaign roles during Barack Obama's presidency. Among them, David Seamus. Seamus served as Director of Political Strategy and Outreach in the Obama White House before becoming the foundation's president. During his tenure leading the foundation from 2017 through 2020, Seamus earned as much as $626,000 annually, according to nonprofit filings. Adewale Adeyemo. Adeyemo, another former Obama administration official, served as the foundation's first president before later becoming Deputy Treasury Secretary in the Biden administration. While at the foundation, he earned approximately $540,000 per year. Anne Philippic. Philippic previously served in the White House Office of Public Engagement. At the Obama Foundation, she has held senior leadership roles with compensation around $400,000 annually. Christina Chen. Chen served as Chief of Staff to Michelle Obama during the Obama presidency. At the foundation, she has also earned roughly $400,000 per year in executive roles. Michael Strautmanis. Another longtime Obama campaign and White House figure, Strautmanis has earned more than $300,000 annually working with the foundation. Altogether, 6 of the foundation's 10 highest-paid executives have direct ties to the Obama administration or campaign. Rapid growth of the foundation's payroll. Staffing expands to more than 330 employees. When the Obama Foundation was first established after the former president left office, it began as a relatively small organization focused on planning the presidential center and running leadership programs. But over the past several years, the nonprofit has grown dramatically. According to federal filings, the foundation employed 337 staff members in 2024. Payroll costs increased from $18.5 million in 2018 to $43.7 million in 2024. Annual revenue reached nearly $210 million in 2024. Much of the increase in staffing reflects the transition from planning to full-scale operations, including program development, fundraising, construction management, and future campus operations. The foundation says staffing will increase further once the center opens. A unique presidential library model, operated privately instead of by the National Archives. The Obama Presidential Center represents a departure from the model used by previous presidential libraries. Most modern presidential libraries operate under the National Archives and Records Administration, NRA, which manages presidential records and archives. In contrast, the Obama Center will be privately operated by the Obama Foundation. Under this arrangement, the foundation will manage programming and operations,
Presidential records will still be preserved digitally by the National Archives. The facility will function more like a museum and civic campus. Supporters say this model allows the foundation to create a dynamic public institution rather than a traditional archival facility. Critics argue it could reduce federal oversight compared with earlier presidential libraries. Financial structure of the project, revenue and donations. The Obama Foundation reported approximately $210 million in total revenue in 2024, most of which came from donations and grants. In previous years, fundraising totals were even higher. About $309 million in 2022, roughly $311 million in 2023. These spikes were largely tied to fundraising campaigns supporting the construction of the Presidential Center. The foundation's assets now exceed $1.1 billion, though much of that value is tied to the construction project itself. The endowment question, a $470 million goal. The Obama Foundation has pledged to create a $470 million endowment fund intended to support the center's long-term operations. However, financial disclosures indicate that only about $1 million has been deposited into the endowment so far, according to investigative reporting. Critics argue that the slow pace of endowment funding raises questions about the center's future financial stability. Supporters respond that the endowment will likely grow significantly once construction is complete and fundraising shifts toward long-term operational support. The 99-year agreement with Chicago, operating on public land. One of the most controversial aspects of the project is the agreement allowing the Obama Foundation to operate the center on public parkland in Jackson Park. Under a 99-year use agreement with the city of Chicago, the foundation will manage the campus while the land technically remains public property. Supporters argue the project will create jobs, boost tourism, revitalize surrounding neighborhoods. Opponents have argued that using public parkland for the project raises concerns about access, environmental impact, and long-term governance. Nonprofit governance experts weigh in. Experts who study nonprofit organizations say the key issue is not necessarily executive compensation itself, but whether the salaries align with industry norms and transparent governance practices. Lori Styron, CEO of the charity watchdog organization Charity Watch, said organizations with political ties often face additional scrutiny. When you have a nonprofit connected to a former president, people naturally pay closer attention to leadership decisions, Styron said. She emphasized that high salaries alone are not evidence of wrongdoing. However, she added that nonprofits must ensure their hiring and compensation processes remain transparent and independent. The foundation's response. Officials defend compensation. In response to criticism, the Obama Foundation says its executive salaries are determined through a formal review process conducted by the organization's board. The foundation says it uses independent compensation consultants and comparisons with similar institutions to determine pay levels. Executive compensation is set based on competitive national market rates for leaders running organizations of similar size and complexity, the foundation said in a statement. Officials also emphasized that nonprofit salaries are often lower than comparable roles in the private sector. Comparisons to major philanthropic foundations. The Obama Foundation has also pointed to compensation levels at major philanthropic foundations. Public filings show that several large foundations pay executives significantly more than Jarrett's salary, including the Ford Foundation, where leadership compensation exceeds $1.2 million. The MacArthur Foundation, which reports similar pay levels. The Rockefeller Foundation and Mellon Foundation, where executives earned more than $1.4 million. However, those institutions operate with massive endowments worth billions of dollars. For example, the Ford Foundation reports $16 billion in assets. Mellon and MacArthur Foundations report more than $8 billion each. Economic promises for Chicago's South Side. Supporters of the Presidential Center argue the project will provide major economic benefits for surrounding neighborhoods. The Obama Foundation estimates the center will create 150 full-time jobs once open, significant tourism activity, new opportunities for local businesses. The foundation says it has also invested in community partnerships and workforce development programs designed to help residents benefit from the project. Looking ahead to opening day. After years of planning, legal challenges, and construction delays, the Obama Presidential Center is expected to open to the public next year. Once operational, it will function as the permanent headquarters of the Obama Foundation, hosting leadership programs, cultural events, and community initiatives. For supporters, the project represents a major investment in civic engagement and education.
For critics, questions remain about its financial structure, leadership salaries, and governance. Either way, the center will soon become one of the most visible symbols of Barack Obama's post-presidential legacy and a major new landmark in Chicago.